Tributes are pouring in for Dolly Parton.
The country music icon died yesterday. Fans in her hometown in Tennessee gathered to pay their respects. Dolly has a statue in the town where she was born and raised. Throughout her career, she has always made sure to give back. She started the Dollywood Foundation to create scholarships for high school students. When a deadly wildfire swept through eastern Tennessee, she sent monthly checks to people who lost their homes.
In Chicago, a tribute is growing around a mural for Dolly Parton. Her Imagination Library, which gives out free books to children, just visited the Chicago area just a few weeks ago.
Meantime, in New York City, the Empire State Building was lit up pink in her honor. This happened at 9:25 last night, paying tribute to her hit song 9 to 5.
And joining us right now with a look back on her amazing life and amazing career, longtime music critic for the San Diego Union Tribune, George Varga. George, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
To say that this was a special person, forget about country music icon. This was just an incredible human being, top to bottom. Tell us what you can about Dolly and how special she really was.
Well, I think we can probably all agree that Donald Trump and Barack Obama rarely agree on anything. Both of them did heartfelt tributes to her yesterday. That alone, I think, tells you a lot.
You know, when you think about her roots, I mean, bluegrass roots, turning that into country music, country pop at one point. I mean, she is the queen. Can you kind of elaborate on her, music and how it evolved over the decades?
Yeah, Dolly came out of, literally out of a little mountain home, one of 11, a family of 11 kids. They didn't have electricity, they didn't have plumbing, and music was her life and her way out of that life into a bigger life. Dolly wrote her first song at the age of 5, was appearing on radio and TV at 10, and went on from there. And I think her ability to draw from a very down-home upbringing, but to broaden it, to add to it in a way that I can't think of anybody else who did that as well or that uniquely made her unique.
What was so amazing about Dolly Parton is that she knew. You mentioned that from 5 and writing songs at 5 and 10 years old. She just always knew, mountain town, anything small. This was her destiny, right? And she always put that out in every interview she ever did. She kept a hold of her roots while always knowing that she was destined for stardom while also staying humble.
Yeah, I interviewed her in 2016, and one comment I recall really vividly was that at the age of 16, she was eager to move on, but couldn't leave home till turning 18. And I'm paraphrasing, but quote, I knew that the future was out there for me. And reading between the lines that it wasn't there, Dolly had to move on and move upward.
I mean, she resonated with almost everyone, and it wasn't just because she was the country music queen. I mean, she was so authentic as a human being, a philanthropist. I mean, giving back to just so many different causes. But when we look at her influence over the music industry, I mean, how has she been able to shape the music industry from where it was to where it is today?
Dolly kind of defined and defied a lot of different stereotypes about women in music, and her debut single was called "Dumb Blonde," and playing off the fact that she was not dumb and she liked to quip, and not blonde either. She really took the bull by the horns, if you will, and controlled her music, controlled her entire career in a way that no other woman in country music or really in pop music had done up until that point. And I think paving the way for nearly everybody who followed, including her goddaughter Miley Cyrus, including Taylor Swift. more than I can name. But without Dolly, I don't know that it would have turned out the way it did for all the people who followed after her.
One of my favorite things about Dolly was the fact that she kind of dabbled in every genre of music. As a music critic, you could probably appreciate that, from, like, you know, Metallica, just almost everything. She had her hands in it. You mentioned that interview in 2016. I think that was the last time she performed in San Diego, right? Tell me about that.
You're correct. Yeah, at what is now Pechanga Arena, and had a different name back then. And Dolly played here a number of times over the years. I think in 2008 at Humphreys, but in 2016 it was her first big tour of North America in 25 years.
I mean, if you could sum it up, what would you think her legacy will be?
I think her legacy will be to transcend. Dolly transcended different types of music, brought people together. The unifying power of music to bring people together who might not agree on hardly anything. And I'll pivot back to Donald Trump and Barack Obama, both being very heartfelt in praising her. Very few people can do that. Maybe Willie Nelson. I have a hard time thinking of anybody who brought people together the way that Dolly did, and who, above and beyond the music, contributed in many ways. You talked about her philanthropy. I mean, her devotion to literacy, to creating libraries across the country, providing free books to young people. It went on and on. So I would go back to the word transcending. Dolly embodied that.
It's a beautiful thing. I read so many things, and technically, specifically, where she could have been a billionaire easily, but she kind of chose not to, because she gave so much of her money away to so many causes and so many people. Do you know, as a music critic, come on now, what's your favorite song? Because to me, to this day, that Jolene song and I Will Always Love You, but those are huge, obviously. What about for you?
Those are right up there. Coat of Many Colors would be up there. To Daddy would be up there. And I talked a moment ago about the people that Dolly paved the way for. Linda Ronstadt and Emmylou Harris, they adored Dolly, and they went on to record with her. And I've interviewed both Emmylou and Linda over the years, and they could not stop talking about what Dolly meant to them and how important Dolly was. And you multiply that, and it goes on and on, the people who were impacted by her. And I would point out men and women, not simply. She was pivotal to all the women in country music and beyond who followed her, but a lot of male musicians would be no less enthusiastic in talking about her and her impact.
Boy, some of those videos with Emmylou and Dolly, those videos that came out yesterday was just amazing, and it doesn't put a smile on your face, and that's what Dolly would have wanted, putting smiles on everybody's face and just enjoying the harmonizing and the beautiful music that she put out there. You think, George?
I'm just gonna be always appreciative of her being so authentic, talking about her nails and talking about how she grew up and where she came from, and I think we're just beginning to feel the impact of her passing, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think her impact will go on a long, long time.
Yeah, for sure. All right, George Varga with the UT. Hey, thanks for the time this morning, George. Appreciate it.